up, y'all? MrMardoober here. It's been a long time since we've done one of these. We're out at my favorite spot. Apple season's just wrapping up. You may hear the refrains of some of the Peruvian music floating through the air, the occasional car driving by. I just wanted to make a quick video and say thank you to all of you who've supported me in the last year since I started growing. We're coming up on 9 months that I've been on YouTube now, creating content at least. I mean, my channel's a lot older than that, but you know, I've been only really making videos for, you know, since March of this year, and end of March we dropped our first video, and after that we went to our first cannabis cup, and it's been just an absolute roller coaster ride since then, you know, for MrMardoober and I. And you know, it's had its ups and downs. I mean, that's why I say roller coaster ride. In this last year, you know, I've gone from you know, working a regular 9 to 5 to just doing this for my daily grind, and it's a little different, you know. It's challenging. It presents its own challenges. You know, there's a lot of opportunities out there in the cannabis world, but you know, there's already a lot of folks out there snapping them up. You know, I've been out talking to a lot of the guys who've been doing this for a long time. You know, I've known a lot of guys doing this for a long time, and you know, the general consensus is, you know, there's a lot of uncertainty with impending legislation here in California, and it's kind of a mindset of get whatever you can while you can, because you may not be able to participate to the extent that you did in the new year, you know, and a lot of people are kind of betting on different horses, and we're going to see, you know, the new year will bring new legislation, and we'll see what happens then. But you know, I can't speak for what your city or county or state or whatever may do or not, and for, you know, decades or, you know, whatnot here, at least in the United States and in many other countries as well, you know, cannabis has been criminalized and demonized, and you know, it's long been something that is done by kind of the underground. So we're gonna just take a minute and twist up a doob and chat, kind of talk about what's going on over in the TIE Fighter. I don't know if we can even call it a TIE Fighter anymore, you know. It's really evolved as well, just like everything else, just like the channel. It's like you know, just like my life, everything moves in constant state of motion. The only thing constant is change. It's the only thing that ever stays the same. Everything's going to always be different. So, you know, it is what it is, and that's the real challenge, is to take it all in stride and just you know, move forward. Oh man, did I rip this paper? I think I did. Let's see if we can salvage it. These raws are terrible to sit now. Now, take two. I'm going to have to take two on this one. Not my favorite brand of papers, but I had a homeboy, Leroy, brought me some packs the other day. And papers are papers. You know, sometimes it takes 2 raws to get the job done. I always joke that's why they put 50 of them in a pack. You got to have extra raws. If there wasn't 50 in a pack, you know, you wouldn't get 30 out of it. It's like, you know, a lot of the other papers come in 30 packs. Whatever. Paper for the homies. We're going to roll up a little Dubious and Blue Dream here. Listen to some fantastic Peruvian music drifting through the glen, and just chat a little bit, kind of keep it intimate. I miss these little Doober talks. I always like to have different segments in my videos, do different stuff. I'm not a very one-dimensional person. I've got a lot of varied talents and skills, and I like to showcase a little bit of everything, you know. So we're getting ready to pull the last tray here in a couple of weeks down in the TIE Fighter, and like I said, I don't even really know if we can call it the TIE Fighter anymore, because it really doesn't have twin engines. I'm running 3. We're talking about putting in a 4th. I'm doing a whole reset and rebuild. As any of y'all have been following me for a while now, or any new people out there watching, you know, and if you're new, don't forget to, you know, do the YouTube game, thumbs up, comment, subscribe, like, share, you know, give each other a reach around, whatever it takes to get the job done. But those of you who are familiar with the channel, I digress, will know that I've been running kind of a perpetual system and rotating trays every couple of weeks so that everything staggers out and there's like a constant state of harvesting and trimming, and I find myself a little overwhelmed by it sometimes. You know, it's a lot of work to get all that done constantly. And so for the new year, we're gonna try just filling the room up and running it once. You know, it's going to be, I'm sure, presenting new challenges, but for me, everything's always about experimentation and trying new processes and new techniques. I think stagnation and doing the same thing forever is you know, that's the poison right there. It doesn't, I really don't judge on how you grow, as long as you're willing to alter it a little bit. If somebody can show you there's a better way, or a different way, or a way that works for them that you might be able to give a shot. You know, and if you don't want to alter, you know, that's on you too. Oh, doggos! I hear doggos. So, like I said, we're going to be doing a full tear down and reset. We're going to document that as we do it. The whole new system is going to be 100% blue mat. I've been kind of wobbling back and forth between blue mats and hand feeding, blue mats and hand feeding, and I think we're also going to set up a flood and drain for veg, because blue mats are the one thing they don't do well is a lot of small pots, a high number of small pots. So we're going to give a shot at setting up a little flood and drain tray, kind of DIY style, a la Lefty's tent. He just set one up and you know, went through all that and what that entailed on his channel recently. I want to give a big shout out to all y'all who follow me, who subscribe, who come to chat every week for the live streams, the MrMardoober Mondays. And if you don't, if you know the live streams aren't your thing, then that's cool. You know, just let me know what you like. If you like the music videos, I can drop more of those. If you got songs that you think I should check out, or if you want me to do a review on something, or answer some questions, see if I've heard something about it, you know, just drop something in the comments. Let me know, and I'm all about getting the content out to you guys that you want to see. So, you know, just feel free to let me know anytime you want to see something different, see something changed. If I'm bumming you out with these long segues and talks without having cannabis plants surrounding me, you know, I mean, sometimes we do and sometimes we don't. I don't know. I just want to make sure that I'm communicating well with y'all, and that it's a two-way communication, that y'all are, you know, telling me back what you like, what you don't, rather than me having to kind of deduce it by analyzing YouTube metrics. It's a hell of a lot easier if y'all just tell me, and then I don't have to go and watch and see if this video got more, you know, this or that, or it takes a lot of science to go in and break that all down and see how that all works out. It'd be a hell of a lot easier if you know, y'all just tell me what's up, and then I can make it work for you. So I've been working with my brother, the Rooster's Glass, recently. We went and checked out a booth at the Bake Sale Sesh here in SoCal. It was kind of a trip. It was neat. We got to meet the guys running the joint and talk with them, and there may be some opportunities to collab there. You know, we're really looking to push forward with some sort of, you know, especially now that I'm, you know, doing this full time, push forward with some sort of cannabis micro business license, so that in the new year we could actually, you know, rather than having to stay in the whole medical realm, which there's nothing wrong with, and very likely you know, I'll probably stay in the medical realm for the most part, but you know, these days if you want to move anything, you got to have a license, even if it's to a, you know, medical dispensary. You have to be a licensed producer with this new seed to sale system. So it's going to be a challenge getting licensed and getting into a legit facility, because that's the real big stickler over here in California. They really want to make sure that you've got a piece of property that is okay, and that the owner of the property, you know, they need a parcel number, and they want it signed off on by whoever's the owner of record, and they want you know, the city to sign off. So all the burden of any kind of infrastructure in this new legislation is being passed to the individual, local governments rather than the broader, county or state, even state. I mean, there's some lawsuits going back and forth here in California, and I'm sure in other states as well. People challenging the city or county's right to tell them that they can't comply with state law if state law says they can. But that's kind of how municipality works, and so this is weird, but I think it's going to kind of split the vote, so to say, or split the fence, and a lot of folks are going to end up on one side or the other. These ballot initiatives are passing, but they're not passing by landslide margins. They're passing 60-40 or 57-43 or whatever. You know what I mean? And they're not landslide passes. I mean, there's still a good 2/3, people behind it, but that means there's a third of the people who absolutely are not, and voted against it. In fact, not just people that didn't care either way. So, it's something to push back on. You got to realize that everything isn't the Venice Beach that people think of it when they see California. Everybody hears you're from California, and they don't imagine this, sitting out in the middle of the wilderness. They, near wilderness. I mean, there's stuff around me. I can see houses, but they're like, and there's a tourist trap playing some music around the corner, not too far from here. The neighbor's chainsawing. But it's not what you'd imagine when you think, California. Everybody thinks Hollywood, LA, San Fernando Valley, the beach, San Diego, San Francisco. You don't really think that a little ways inland there's places like this in the mountains that are just kind of a place that time forgot. And with that place that time forgot comes people that time forgot. And so you got a lot of those real hardline Republican, old school, freaking, red state folks, and though we're in a blue or green or whatever color state you want to call it, California is, that's just by the majority. That doesn't mean that everyone everywhere is. In the region that we happen to be in happens to be a pretty heavy red area, you know what I mean? A lot of Trump flags out here, a lot of red, white, and blue. People around here freaking, just are absolutely 100% freaking for their beliefs, and they're very, very old school, So it's hard to get a lot of these city councils or county commissioners or whatever to change their mindset and take a fresh look at this. It's easier to just pass the buck and tell the next guy down the line that they got to deal with it. Tell the city you deal with it. And some cities are being cool about it. City of San Bernardino is amazingly progressive, but that's because they're dead broke. So the revenue is something that's necessary to them, or looks necessary to them, or at least appealing to them to bring in some revenue and kind of rehab some of the poorer sections of the city, which I think it'll do a fantastic job of. But it's not like that everywhere. Not at all. And little country hamlets like this that are ideal places to set up a big outdoor operation, and it's dicey. And while I'm not saying people aren't doing it, I don't know, and there are some that are doing it allegedly legally-ish, but it's dicey, man. It's hard. And as being somebody who has done time and been locked up over marijuana, you know what I mean, that's like I was charged with possession of a large amount of cannabis essentially, and that was it. I never was selling or doing it. Well, I did transport some once, but I was never like a direct drug dealer. I just was somebody who had a lot of pot and grew pot. And it's a shame that the government has worked itself into this position where that it's essentially racketeering. It's completely and 100% legal to sell pharmaceutical drugs that can maim or cripple, or how many infomercials have you seen for mesothelioma or frickin' some kind of problem that's caused by big industry crapping on the little guy, and that's totally okay. But having more than 24 of a certain kind of plant, or growing them over X amount of feet high is absolutely and expressly forbidden. You know, God forbid somebody should see it from a public area, you know, and the neighbors might glance upon this plant because it could corrupt them literally just by looking at it. It's unbelievable. And while, you know, the views are moving forward and minds are changing, it's slow. It's not an immediate process, and everybody's thinking that this new year, new legislation, it's just going to roll out. Everything's going to be green. And, you know, once you start involving the government, yeah, true. You know, I've learned this years in the food service industry, is that tax agents, inspectors, they're not there to shut you down. They're there to take your money and make you comply. They just want to make sure that you're playing by the same rules that everybody else is playing by, and that's what, you know, this legalization has brought us to, is you got to be regulated. If something's legal, then you got to say, well, is it legal to do it this way or legal to do it that way? You know, is this what's okay and what's not? You know, otherwise, you know, you'd have people out there freaking making their own soda pop and squeezing tops on it and selling it like right alongside Mountain Dew on the shelves. I mean, there's certain things that once you've you know, said that that's okay to do, you got to kind of oversee it. Same with, you know, restaurants or food packing. You know, they got health inspectors and safety inspectors to go through and make sure that things are being done in a safe and healthy manner. And I don't see why it should be any different with cannabis, especially with so many people out there. You know, I'm not saying that there's not good growers that care about their inputs and outputs and, you know, watch things closely, but there's a lot of people out there who don't care what they put into the plants or what it tests like, or, you know, if it's clean or if it's not, if it's loaded up with frickin' all kinds of frickin' toxic stuff in the you know, nutrients they use. You know, some people just don't care. So you know, it's kind of good in some ways that all this testing and whatever, but they just got to make sure, we got to be careful not to make it so that only the big boys can compete. You know, this is something I was talking with Doober too about, that you know, he's one of our biggest fans and followers on the show here, and he doesn't even, you know, he grows for medical patients, and his issue is that, you know, up where they're at in Canada, they're trying to make it so that unless you're, you know, Bayer, ConAgra, Monsanto, you know, the big boys, you're not, you know, allowed to really grow. All the grow ops are going to be run by large corporations doing it for profit, not for patients, and it just becomes another OxyContin, or, you know, something that they can prescribe you to make money on, or and even worse, an industry worked by, like, you know, big liquor and tobacco, who just really want to get you to buy more, because, you know, let's face it, there is, you know, some addictive you know, potential for cannabis. I mean, it's not 100% non-addictive, and you know, a lot of people do become psychologically dependent on cannabis, especially over years and years of use. It becomes more and more difficult to cope with life without it, and it kind of seems like it has less of an effect on you than it did when you weren't. You know, that's why I recommend people all the time take a, you know, a little tolerance break now and again, and you know, maybe stop. I'm probably due for one myself soon. But who knows? The new year will bring new things. We'll see where it brings us. But I hope you all have had a fantastic Thanksgiving, or, you know, I don't know, autumn celebration, whatever it is y'all people do, because I'm not big on named holidays, but, you know, when in Rome. So thank you all for tuning in. I don't keep this, you know, from rambling on forever. Hell, I'll probably end up cutting bits and pieces out of this if I sound like an idiot. But thanks for watching, and we'll see y'all around. MrMardoober, out.